right. How you doing? It's been a while, hasn't it? This is what I'm reading, or what I'm planning on reading. I've been in a little bit of a slump, and I really want to resist reading things out of duty to anyone, because when I do that, I really like novels way less, and then I come on here and I get all salty and da-da-da-da. Sometimes I need just a break from a genre or a series or whatever. And that's kind of where I've found myself lately. I've really appreciated some of the new audience that has come over who have liked, some of my first steps into some Stephen King, and most into the Dark Tower especially. So looking forward to getting back to that, but it's kind of not the time at the moment, but I will get to it. I've even picked up some other sci-fi, which is so strange because it's usually so my thing. Caliban's War, I did the first something like 5 chapters, which really isn't that much. And I thought, dang it, it's getting so nice out that I don't know. It's changed my whole reading mood, where I think I'm going to love this eventually, but I just have this nagging feeling like, I should be doing other stuff. And so I've been reading a lot less because I want to spend time with family, and I want to spend time doing some other things. And so I'm not going to force myself when I don't want to. I am still wanting to read stuff, but at the moment, I'm not feeling anything, I don't want to do anything too deeply philosophical. I don't want to do anything, I don't want to, if I read something, I want to read stuff that's kind of familiar to me. So some historical fiction would be a little bit more my thing. These very small Elric Saga books, I still have number 2 just sitting there, ready to go, and I still haven't picked that one up. And the worst of all, which actually threw me into this whole slump, I'm still in the middle of Lord of Emperors. I haven't made any progress in this for the last week and a half, and a part of the reason is it's kind of why I've been thrown into this little bit of a slump. I want to kind of, for a moment, at least during summer, get away from books that are just so adult, right? And find things that are more kind of just fun. I really loved the first book. I loved parts of this so far, and it just, I don't know. I want to get away from I just want some lighter stuff for a while. I still will finish that because I do really still think Guy Gavriel Kay is amazing. I'm hoping not every book is, it's just kind of not my thing right at the moment. What I have picked up are, and there's a reason for this. I recently, my daughter has been introduced to Star Wars. I introduced it to her a few years ago, and so she loves the original trilogy. I watched that with her. She's kind of lukewarm on the prequels, so good girl. And then the sequels, we watched it once, and in my views, the sequels have just never happened. But anyway, she wants to kind of know more about the series. And growing up, I was a big Star Wars fan, but I never read any of the books. So we've printed out a list of things of other kind of IP, or what is it? Not IP, but other side series types things in the Star Wars world to kind of watch. I haven't watched any of the shows like Mandalorian. I haven't watched. I haven't watched Acolyte. I haven't watched any of them. But I have heard decent things about the Clone Wars, so we thought maybe we'll watch episodes 1 and 2, and then we'll watch some of the Clone Wars or all of it or whatever. and then we'll watch something else. Maybe go to Rebels. Maybe go to some of these other things, and maybe it'll be interesting to find more of an expansive view. Growing up, I went to, I was a big Star Wars fan, but we only had, I had friends that read a lot of these novels, but I didn't, I when before episode 1 came out, I thought it was pretty cool that I knew that Darth Vader or that Anakin got burned alive, or that he that's why he was in that suit. And I thought, oh, I know something that a lot of people don't. But in the large scheme of things, that was the only extra thing I knew. And there were people reading these books that just sounded so cool. These things, I always wanted to get to them. I would hear of these different Sith Lords and whatnot, and I would watch, I'd play some of the video games. And that was always fun. And so I thought maybe it's time where I'm going to, while I'm watching this with my daughter over the summer, maybe I'm going to read some of these side Star Wars novels. And I've been doing a lot of research in the last couple weeks of where I wanted to start. If you have read them before, maybe give your feedback here. I'm about to start one of them probably soon after I stop and upload this. But this is what I'm thinking. Now, in the same way that I love Malazan and I want to get to the Karpyshyn trilogy, to get to something far, far back, there are things within the Star Wars universe, things like where Knights of the Old Republic was placed some thousands of years before the Star Wars movies. I want to get to the Darth Bane trilogy, which apparently has to do with a large number of Sith, but then he kind of creates the code where there is a master, and then there is a master who wields all the power or holds all the power, and an apprentice who wants that power. And that's kind of the dynamic, which makes it interesting also. I hear of all these apprentices that kill their master, then they become the next one. And Darth Vader also kind of follows that format, but for a different reason, which, I'm excited to get into it. So I might start reading that one. I am also very interested in getting to these High Republic novels, starting with Light of the Jedi. That would be somewhat after this Darth Bane, I think, at another time where the Jedi are kind of flourishing. Not flourishing in the way that they were in the prequels, because they were already kind of a little bent into politics and not really their best selves, I think. And that's another thing that I think some of these novels will maybe flesh out a little better. I've heard that. So that's one of the other ones that I'd like to do. I know there's a few in this High Republic era, which would kind of open things up, and I've heard good things about it. I would like to get also to Master and Apprentice, which is another short one. All of these are pretty short, 300 pages or so. Has to do with Qui-Gon, which was one of the cool things about the first book, except for the midichlorian, or the first movie, except for midichlorians and a lot of, some of the stuff is kind of lame, but I always liked Qui-Gon because he seemed like of this era, if I'm imagining it right, he seemed very philosophical and he wanted attachments, which seemed against the Jedi code or whatever a little bit. So I'm interested in this, which happens before the Phantom Menace. Another one, Darth Plagueis. This is another one on the docket. I got all these super cheap because they were at these are relatively new, but someone brought them in to our local bookstore, and that's another reason why I thought, hey, I'm going to pick those up. Darth Plagueis, which I think has to do with Darth Sidious, and who is the apprentice to Darth Plagueis, which seems cool. I'm finally maybe going to get to know some of these things. Another one I think I might start here, which seems I get some gunslinger vibes with Kenobi, where it's when Kenobi has to go to Tatooine with Luke and find maybe his, find the aunt and uncle to leave him there, then start laying low. And I've heard it's kind of a Clint Eastwood Western sort of vibe to it a little bit. So very cool. I might start there. It's a strong contender. Last one I might start with. I always liked Princess Leia, and this was written before I think The Force Awakens had come out. And again, anything I can get after the books or after Return of the Jedi that could maybe flesh out a new sort of way that the story continues, because I really hated the sequels. I don't even think I've even finished the last one. I like midway through I thought, yeah. I'm trying to flesh out some of that series, and I thought these could be easy things to read during the summer. And if I like certain ones of these more than others, then I'll continue with them. And also Thrall, which I know has an original one. That was a name that one of my buddies would always throw around in school. Might start there, but I know there's an original trilogy or two and a new one. So if you are Star Wars master, help me out. Help me know which to start with. But I am most leaning towards starting with either Kenobi or this one of these two, or the Darth Bane. The really dark one. So who knows? I might go with Kenobi because I recognize him, but if this would be something new and fresh, we'll see. I'll probably flip a coin, or I'll let the first person who comments decide which of these to do. So talk to you guys later. Bye.